and 1 and 2 and 2 and 1 and... Oh, shucks, I can't dance.
Hey everybody, welcome to Up and Go with Muffins. My name is Daniel, and with me as always is my co-host Ethan and our guest Luke. Welcome Luke, welcome Ethan.
Hi guys. Hello.
We're doing a lot of recording on Saturdays.
Yeah, we used to. What was our normal days? It was kind of.
Was it Friday? I suppose it was Friday.
Friday was kind of the usual, yeah.
You kind of got busy on Friday evenings now.
Yeah, because I got youth group. Luke, how you doing?
Silly. I'm good actually, thank you.
Ethan, how you doing?
Doing happy, doing well.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, Luke does finally have internet, so
yeah.
We can finally see his beautiful face.
To those who have maybe noticed that the YouTube videos haven't been there, that's just because Luke has been busy, and he is the one who puts them up there. Busy and doesn't have internet.
I've just had no internet for the last 3, 4, 5 weeks. It's been forever.
Mm-hmm. And joining us today also is Ben Franzoi. Welcome back, Ben.
Konnichiwa. Hello.
Oh, you speak Japanese?
Oh, dude, you like...
It's pronounced Japanese.
Japanese. Oh, sorry, my bad.
Is that a Japanese gamer?
Damo arigato. I'm going to offend every single Japanese person. I'm sorry. I love Japan. I love Japan. I love the Japanese.
We're going to have to... We'll go down through the races and we'll eventually offend them all.
Do you know if Japanese have anything like Weebix?
They've probably got some kind of evolved version. Because
it's like an English thing, right? Like Wheaties and Weet-Bix.
Yeah, I think so.
If it ain't covered in sugar, I don't want it.
Do Americans even have it?
No
Not
idea.
sure. What's it called? It's I don't know.
So, Ben, this is your first time on a full episode of Up and Go.
Wow, moving up on the world.
Yeah, we had Ben on a mini episode, a cupcakes episode, but we haven't had him on a proper episode, so we'll have to ask you the obligatory questions. And question number 1 is, Ben, do you like Up and Go?
Indeed, I do. Very much so.
That is good.
Oh, yeah? How much? How much? Very much so.
How much? Very much so.
Name all of Up and Go.
Name Up and Go.
That's my favorite joke.
How much have you had? How much have you drunk today? There's the gauge question.
A litre.
Okay.
And what have you got in front of you at the moment?
In front of me at the moment, I have the empty bottle of vanilla ice, or carton, whatever you call them, and a bit
vanilla ice is coming up in the world.
And some strawberry as well.
Very nice, very nice.
It's a lot of Up and Go, and we love that. We love that for you, and we are here to support those decisions.
I'll move on to the next question in a moment, but just while we're on that, you guys got anything you're drinking? Got any Up and Go?
I've got water.
A Rockstar energy drink.
Which is empty, actually.
Water is a good alternative. Sanitarium would be proud of you.
I might fill it at some point, but I'll be quick.
What do you guys think of bottled water?
Bottled water? If it's not Dasani... No, I'm kidding. I mean...
I put water in my bottle usually, so...
No, I'm keen to talk about water for a minute. Just, Daniel, finish your questions first.
Okay. Ben, what is your favorite flavor of Up and Go?
It was vanilla ice, but now that I've had more strawberry, I think it's strawberry, to be honest.
Strawberries are good.
I think you can't... vanilla ice you can't go wrong with. But
is it really called vanilla ice? Is it not just called vanilla?
It is called vanilla ice.
Huh. I mean, I knew that. Sorry, I definitely knew that.
Vanilla ice. Bottled water.
You'd say you've moved from vanilla to strawberry?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
not to say that I haven't gone off everything else, but strawberry's just up there with the favourites.
I don't remember whether I mentioned this or not.
Favorite.
Yeah, but I think I've moved from vanilla to chocolate. I think at the moment chocolate's my
that's
favorite.
Fine. That's fine. You could have said I've moved from vanilla to banana.
I honestly haven't had it. I haven't had banana yet.
Really? Banana is definitely the best flavour. But I'm a big fan
I can't
of
be here. I mean, I love all flavours.
We all know you're a bit of a weirdo,
of course,
Ethan, so, you know.
Banana.
Well, the weird thing is I hate anything that I'm not a huge fan of actual bananas, but I love bananas and things.
I'm the opposite. I don't like banana flavoured stuff, but I do love me a good naan.
A naan?
Yeah,
a naan. Yeah,
banana.
Oh, nani, right? Yeah, the jet. I was thinking like a naan bread, and I was like, what kind of Indian
that's
are
a
you eating?
naan, bro. Learn the difference.
Fun fact.
Bottled water.
Can I say a fun fact? When it comes to banana flavoring, why those little I don't know, anyone else outside of New Zealand probably doesn't know what a gummy lolly is, but it's like those real soft, jelly ones. Those kinds of things flavored as banana, how they don't really taste like banana as such.
Have we gone over this on the podcast?
Oh, those awful yellow
you with the
things.
gross Michaels.
Yeah, but they're not actually flavored as the bananas that we know today, but a species that's gone extinct a while back.
The gross Michael.
Oh, wait, I've read this.
Yeah.
I do think you're right, Ethan. I think we mentioned it on the podcast, but that would have been early on.
I think it was like one of the first episodes.
Yeah.
Hang on, you're talking about those awful banana
I'm
lollies.
talking about
like,
banana flavor as
yeah,
a
but
whole.
we're talking about like the best lollies you get in the party pack.
I thought you were specifically talking about the like the ones that have the same texture and consistency as the Eskimos. And I'd forgotten that they existed, and I hate them, and you've reminded me. Oh, what's wrong with you people?
And watch this, you're going to get a few party mixes coming your way now that has a lot of them in them.
Yeah.
I'm only worried because I know you can buy like 2 kilo bags of them on like Mighty Ape, and I also know that you two would send me a bag as a gag.
Now you've given them the idea.
Depending how much it was, but yeah.
2 kilo bag is only like
skate.
$10, $13. Not that expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
What's like Joel was talking about? There are some frogs in Auckland, right, for sale for $10. And I was like, oh yeah, I'd buy a frog for $10 and then just like stick it in someone's toilet. It would be hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, $10 for that kind of prank, I think
pretty
is
sure
a well
you'll
worth.
have like
it's like when I bought you that grenade when you're heading off to Israel.
Yes, but that was also a slightly dark joke. Yeah,
isn't that animal cruelty?
Bottled water? You guys wanted to? No, they'd love the toilet. That'd be great. It'd be just there.
You're right. They're not pigs, Daniel. They're frogs.
I'm keen to talk on this bottled water thing.
Yeah, I'm
Ethan,
interested as to what you guys wanted to talk about.
Have you heard of black water?
Yeah.
BLK.
Like yeah.
With
I know
like
that,
added
the stuff that's got all the vitamins of
it's
spring source things.
It's more like a particular. It's like fulvic powder or something. Sorry.
Yeah.
Fulvic powder or something. I
think. Like from a volcanic river.
And it makes the water black, but it still tastes exactly like. Well, I think
water does have different flavors though.
Yeah, it does. Like one of my, I just find the video funny is when Rhett and Link on Good Mythical Morning did like a blind bottled water test to see if they could guess which flavor was which. So they knew like the pool of like 6 bottles or whatever it was. But they had to like taste them all and go through and I don't know. Like Dasani, Evian, all that kind of stuff. Fiji water, smart water, black water. Why do you want to talk about bottled water?
I just think
you wanted to talk about bottled water, didn't you?
I just like water.
I had because it's weird because if I buy like a bunch of it from the supermarket or something for it, I will drink more water than if I have to like fill up a jug, which makes no sense because there's no difference. But I don't know. There's something about like waking up in the middle of the night and just being able to crack open like an easy up and bottle.
No, see, for me, the time when like bottled water is amazing is when it's like a hot day or something, and you know, like it's at camps or something. You get those people that are just giving away free bottles of water or something. You go up to the stand, take over a bottle, crack it open, drink it down, and it's like the best thing you've drunk ever.
It's Pump is like the main water brand here, isn't it? What do you guys think of flavored water? Like when they put a little bit of zing in it, a little bit of badab.
I say just drink water.
I think I've got some like small like sugarless cordial things which I bought in an attempt to trick myself into drinking more water, and they're actually pretty good. There was this like apple and blackcurrant one which is nice, and so you just I've
seen those around. I'll add electrolytes to my water every so often, like just pure concentrates and stuff, which isn't super nice, but it's more just because I know I need them.
To me, flavored water is the same as like tea. Like most fruit teas, in that it's nice, but it's not strong enough for me. Like
that's why I like being able to buy the cordial my own because then I can like get
you can actually give it a bit more berries.
But but if like for me, I'd just drink cordial, like not cordial concentrate, cordials and Raro or something, you know.
Yeah. Raro is a little like the idea behind these things is they're a lot healthier for you.
Right.
Because it is still you're still drinking water. Like it's literally just water, and you're only using like maybe 2 mils of it. It's really pungent stuff. I think I've got a bottle. Should just
show the camera. We're trying a new format this time for the podcast. Like Daniel said, I'm a bit behind on the upload, so I'll start getting them up on YouTube. But I'm screen recording the Discord call that we're recording in at the moment, and I'll see if I'm able to put that up so you can still kind of see our faces while we have our little yarn. Oh yeah, water drops. I've seen that.
Yeah, so we've heard the cry of the people, and they want more, visual confirmation that we exist.
Yeah, thanks for the love on the last live episodes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did get they did do well.
They did pretty well actually.
I mean, I haven't actually heard people saying that they want to see us more, but
no, don't whatever. Say that.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I have.
Yeah. No, but now you're lying. Now you've just dug yourself a hole.
What is going on?
Quickly, before we get into the actual
the meat of the episode.
Yeah, the meat of the episode. Considering we're talking about past episodes and we're still talking about food, you remember how I put Macca's at the top of my food list?
Yeah, have you decided?
I have a confession to make.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm at home by myself at the moment. I'm home alone this weekend, and I just happened to remember that I had a $30 free Uber Eats voucher. So I genuinely spent
Did you buy a share box?
No, I spent like $45 at Macca's yesterday.
Wow. How? I mean, hey, Monopoly is on, so.
Oh no, I got like 10 tickets or something, so bonus. But
how do you even eat $45 worth of Macca's?
I don't know. I got a large boss combo, like a deluxe chicken burger thing, a triple cheeseburger.
I suppose those are pretty pricey.
What are they like? A McFlurry and
$5.
something else.
I like the apple pies.
Yeah, I just went, I want this, this looks nice, I want this, I like this. Just spent like $45. Though it only cost me $15, so it was bonus. Spent like cool, I bought like one more burger because I wanted it, and then just delivery fee. So it was like, I paid like what I'd pay, a little bit more what I'd normally pay for just one combo, and I got so much food, and I ate all of it. Well, I ate half of the one cheeseburger. And I took that into work today. Yeah.
I tell you what I hate most about myself is how much I enjoy a reheated Big Mac.
I think I'd rather have it fresh.
I don't think I've
Pizza's good second day, but I'm not sure about Macca's.
How do you get a fast food burger to last more than one meal? Like,
you buy 4 of them, Daniel, and you take one into work the next day.
Okay, that's
half.
Yeah.
I had 3.5 burgers yesterday.
I'll tell you how I do it, at least, which is like I would get the Big Mac Hunger Buster sometimes, and sometimes I wasn't that hungry, but it's still cheaper to buy the Hunger Buster.
I will say, I genuinely did eye up the $40 Hunger Buster thing and be like, but what am I going to do with 4 burgers, 4 chips, and 4 drinks? I'm not that thirsty.
Yeah, but like 2 of them is fine.
It was the drinks that kind of made me go, I'll more just make my own thing, because I do not have a purpose for 4
It would have been funny, though, to have the Uber
drinks.
driver to hand it to you. Just you at home.
I know all the lights are off. I come upstairs and kind of wave at him as he goes because it's like contactless delivery and all that stuff at the moment. But no, enough about my terrible Macca's habits. I just want to make sure you know I haven't had Macca's in ages. I love the little change there.
Yeah, nice. I like it.
Represent. This is the first time I've had Macca's in like months. Yeah, that was so it's fine.
That's interesting. I didn't know I'd do that.
Yes. Anyway, today's episode. What are we talking about?
So the topic of today's episode shut up. It's a second part to last week's episode. The last episode, which we talked about video games, and this time we are talking about board games. And it's just what we like in board games, what type of board games we prefer, that sort of stuff. All the different sides of board games, and kind of just tabletop games in general. So that includes, collectible card games and role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons, stuff like that.
I'm glad you specified that.
Specified
so
what?
I was that we're allowed to go into like the other categories of not just board games. I was going to say most of the stuff I'm going to talk about is not boards.
Well, that's the thing, right? And I will start with this: is like the term board games. Like, yes, you have board games, card games, and dice games, right? Ignoring role-playing games at the moment, right? And so, board games is a game with a board. Card games just have cards and stuff like that. But we've kind of, and it's been, I don't know, the last however long, 10, 20 years, just board games is kind of the term we use to define any game that you play on a table, really.
Unless it's like literally a deck of cards or something, then you say I want to play cards. But
Yeah.
Really,
but normally
we're all just
speaking, you
boomer
say
mothers who
bust
refer
out
to
a
it as
board
an
game.
Xbox.
Huh?
We're the boomer mothers.
Yeah. That's a
You
good
enjoying
one.
your Xbox?
Mom, it's a PlayStation 5. Come on. I'm not poor.
Oh, do we want to like finish off last episode a little early with talking about the prices of the new consoles quickly?
But those aren't board
what?
games.
How people feel? Well, we'll talk about video games
Well,
last time.
I'm more
Oh,
excited for the
fair
new
enough.
graphics cards, personally.
Yeah, enjoy your $1,200.
No, I'll just buy a 2080 Titan for like $500. Easy.
We talked
Laugh.
about that last episode.
Yeah.
And I still think you are massively wrong.
Buy me Maccas when
No,
I'm right.
I'm interested to see how the new Xbox XS or whatever.
Series S.
Whatever. It's the cheaper version of the Xbox S, and I don't know, letters. Cheaper version of the Xbox X, and like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I will get that. That could be
I'll
cool.
tell you what I'm having none of, and it's the fact that this nonsense about next-gen games costing $140.
Oh, yeah.
The games
That
costing
really is-
$140.
Yeah, the games
Ah,
on
yeah.
release.
Marketers.
Because
What?
because you see the prices went up from $60 to $70, but that's irrelevant because we actually get our pricing from the European market, and that went from €60 to €80, which is
Ooh.
the 140.
It's a
for
massive
some
inflation.
reason. It's pretty ridiculous.
Don't like that.
And so,
yeah.
that's important when it comes to buying the discless version of the consoles, being the Xbox Series S, and then the discless version, the digital PlayStation 5, which is a fair bit cheaper. I think. It's
Oh,
$20
sorry,
cheaper.
it's a Series S, a discless console.
Yeah,
Oh, I
Yeah,
did
I'm
not
pretty
see
sure
that
this
in
is-
what
I'll
I was
double-check that.
researching about. But
I will double check that, but I think that's partially how they cut cost.
yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, but that's video games. That's consoles. That's
we're just finishing
old
off,
hats.
yeah.
We're out of there. You know, no one plays video games these days anymore.
Yeah. Like,
So-
gross.
Board games. If anyone has anything that they want to talk about in particular, then it's just a free flow kind of general topic. I personally, as I've said many times on the podcast, and as you guys obviously know, I love board games. Like anything to do with board games. Yeah. Definitely
This is true.
out of the four of us, I would say I like them the most and probably the most obsessed with them. Ben would be probably a close second. Then I'm just
I
gonna.
wouldn't say close.
Yeah,
Ben would-
I wouldn't say close either. You're like
Ben
up
would be a
here in
second.
first, and then Ben's like here, and then Ethan and me are like. No, actually, no. Ethan's up there. But you like board games. I think a good way to start. We could like. Do you guys have a like all-time favorite game?
Oof.
I do. I have a favorite board game.
I like Monopoly. I know.
I was gonna say that as a joke.
Wait, you like what?
I do. Like Monopoly is like the guilty pleasure. Like Monopoly is
because
the
you're a
Macca's
businessman.
of
Well,
the
there
McDonald's
is
of
there
board
is Monopoly
games.
Macca's if that's what we're talking about.
but it's really easy to play. Like that's the thing. Is I played it so much, and it is kind of just going through the motions.
Easy to play, hard to
And-
master.
Not really.
No,
Just
I'm
need
kidding,
the
I'm kidding.
probabilities. But Monopoly is definitely more of a social game rather than about the game. At least that's how I've played it. Something you do while talking to friends or something. And that's why I enjoy it. And that's probably why I enjoy it. Like I always think of when people say my favorite. It's not the game I enjoy most, but it's the game I enjoy most.
To like play
consistently.
with other people.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
Although it is heavily dependent on the people you play with.
Yeah.
But like speaking of like you said, playing it socially, one of my favorite games of Monopoly that I can remember is when me and Luke went up to Auckland to see Safia, and we stayed with our friend Alex. I don't know if you
Oh,
listen to
that's
this,
right, I
Alex,
played
but
with-
if you do, hey Alex.
This is Hendrix.
And we played a game. We played a game of Monopoly with him, and we were just eating snacks, just chilling, just playing Monopoly, and it was good fun. The game of Monopoly was secondary, right?
Yeah.
That's a facilitator.
Us communicating and hanging out and catching up was the main entertainment.
It's
the
kind
game of
it's
Monopoly
kind
was there.
Sorry. It's kind of like a lot of like commentary YouTubers and stuff where like they play Counter-Strike or Valorant or something in the background, but you're not really watching for the gameplay. You're listening to them talk or have yarns with the group they're playing with or something.
Watching commentary YouTubers laugh.
Yeah, Monopoly.
Make fun of what you do in your spare time.
If this was a board game podcast, like you know, like the
I mean,
whole
Monopoly
podcast, you would probably get laughed at for that. But I think that's actually a fair.
You can't go wrong with Monopoly.
Like, I don't think it's the best game I've ever played, but it's how I understand favorite is something that I'd be like, if you ask me, if you gave me a game that I really enjoy playing, I'm not always going to be in the mood for it, right? To me, your favorite is something you're always in the mood for, right? And like, I can't think of many situations when someone's like, "You want to play a game of Monopoly?" and I go, "Man, not bothered."
Yeah.
Yeah, and but I mean, like Blood Rage or something a little bit more complicated, it's more enjoyable, but it's so much more subject to like the whims of how I'm feeling on the day.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say my favorite game is, out of all the games I've played and enjoy, like the best designed, right? I wouldn't say it's the best, but like you said, it's the one I enjoy the most and most consistently, I think. You know, I've got some other games that I would say are designed better, and like, you know, just there's just more to them, and you play it and you go, wow, that was amazing, but that's good. I'll put that to the side. I'll come back to that some other time, you know. So my favorite game is Dice Forge. I'm not sure if we talked about it on the podcast.
I like Dice Forge a lot. I didn't like it the first time. Well, I did not like it, but I was kind of like, whatever. But I like it a lot.
Yeah, I do. I really like Dice Forge as well. It's a good game.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah, it's one part I like about it is, I don't know, it's very interactive, and I don't know, just everything seems to go quickly, and it almost flows from turn to turn really quickly. It helps that everyone's doing something on every turn. Even if it's as simple as rolling your dice, right? It's Ethan's turn, we all roll our dice, you know, and gain stuff. That's simple, but it's still all of us getting the chance to do something.
It's not
keeps you engaged.
Yeah, because I find it so hard to stay engaged when, I mean, I've never played Catan, but using stuff like that as an example, where you've either got to pay attention the whole time, and it can take up to 10 to 20 minutes sometimes before your next turn. I'm just like,
I suppose you have to pay attention in Catan so much as like that you make sure to get your resources.
Well, specifically Catan, but I mean just like as a general sort of thing, you know, where you got to sit back like I do and just like know what you're doing, and every other person's move is irrelevant.
What about you, Ben? What's your favorite game?
Favorite is a difficult term. I have a lot of games that I like. I haven't really sat down and gone, okay, I like this one the most, you know? I just have games that I like, and yeah.
Okay, if I said to you right now, Ben, let's play a board game, and you had to choose, what would you pick?
Oh, I've got no idea. I'd probably say, what are the options?
Oh.
And then say,
what a
I don't flipping know, what do you want?
Yeah, Ethan.
Ben's a pleaser. I was just going to say, going back to favorites. If we're talking about board games specifically, but if we're just talking games in general, I definitely think I lean far more into like tabletop role-playing games than board games. And so that's different. So like Dungeons and Dragons is all those types of things, definitely way above anything.
Later on, surely.
But for board games, I mean, I'm kind of not super into it. But anyway, that was just a quick comment, and so go on.
Yeah. Well, what would you say? What would you say? Have you got like a top 3 maybe, Ben?
Oh, I don't know. I really enjoy it. Oh, actually, maybe. I just thought of something. Hang on. 2-player games, like those trading cards and those types of, you know, like 1v1 games. I really like. Me and Dan play those quite often with each other. And Star Wars X-Wing is really up there as one of those games.
That is,
for me,
X-Wing favorite. Is a great game. Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
And it's one that I'm actually okay at as well. Like a lot of board games I play, I'm actually really bad at.
Can I ask, is like Star Wars X-Wing and the more 2-player stuff, is that more card themed than board, or
generally Yeah.
X-Wing, not so much. It's a miniatures one, and it's highly based around the miniatures. But
right,
yeah, because I was
that
thinking
too, like 2-player dueling games, right? A head-on-head where you're fighting against each other. You know, it's almost always either a miniatures game, or a card game.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like how a board game, a quote-unquote board game, would work in like just a 2-player setting. But yeah, that makes sense if it's like mostly cards or miniatures. If I'm going to play like a 2-player game with someone, I want to play 500, like 2-hand 500, like one open on the top and the one in your hand. I love playing that. It's so much fun.
And I think the reason why it's normally either card games, like collectible card games, or miniatures games is like the goal
don't want it to be
of
expensive for one.
Pardon?
Yeah.
You don't want it to be expensive for one.
Although miniatures games are expensive, but
that's just because of like quality of product.
No, what I was going to say is it allows each person to bring their own thing to the table.
Oh,
right. So like if we play a board game, we play Dice Forge, right? We set up Dice Forge. We each get, the same thing, essentially what comes in the box. If me and Ben play Dice Masters, which is probably the one we play the most often, I have my team, right? My Dice Masters team, my dice that I bought, my characters and everything. He has the ones that he bought. He built his own team, and it allows that chance of like customization, in customizing our own team, and then we get to try out what we have built,
It's kind of what Pokemon was built on.
Yeah, but the Pokemon, the collectible card game is the same, and Magic like and all that sort of stuff.
Hearthstone, except that's a video game and all that sort of thing.
But that's the same. You still build up your own deck. Same as Legends of Runeterra.
Deck builder stuff, essentially,
Yeah. Hey, that's what we could do. That's an idea for the podcast. And you guys could look out for this, listeners. We could maybe not live stream, but record us playing like Legends of Runeterra or something.
Oh,
that could be fun. Having some duels.
Yeah, I'd be down. I need to like learn that game. It's kind of the reason I played like a little bit in the beta.
I hope it hasn't been updated too much.
And I thought, I played it a lot this is fun, but I've not really played a game like that before, and I kind of just couldn't be bothered learning because I was into TFT at the time.
It's really good to play while traveling. I think
it's great.
Very accessible.
I do quite
devices.
like just playing it if I'm doing something or whatever, but I haven't in a long time.
I love it on planes and whatnot. If you got Wi-Fi on the plane.
Which we have more and more these days.
Oh, I'll interject seeing as you talk about that. You know what I realized only just the other day? Phones aren't banned at gas stations anymore.
What gas stations are you going to?
Well, okay, specifically they're not banned at Z. I was thinking because when I was fueling up the Amber the other day, and there's like one of the COVID sign-in things on the pump. And I was like, that's a bit strange how they want us to have our phones out on the court. And then the same with the app. You've got to take your phone out and scan the little QR code it gives you if you want to like add your vouchers and stuff. And I thought, are they like okay with this? And then you know how like on the poles at the gas station, it has the do not do these things.
Yeah.
And how that always used to say don't use your phones. At Z at least, it doesn't anymore.
Huh.
Yeah. There's no mention of not using your phone.
BP still does. But also, BP does have the app where you can,
pay in the car.
I always pay in the car. I've paid out of the car.
Last time I went into a gas station to pay for my fuel, couldn't tell you.
I always go in to pay because I always pick up like some gum or something.
Yeah, I just found that really interesting. That like at Z at least they don't. It just seems so foreign to like have your phone out on the court. But then at the same time, like it's kind of pretty debunked that.
How many more computers are in your car?
Yeah, I know. It's silly. Like, my car's going to, like, spark more likely than my phone is. Like, come on.
Yeah.
This probably goes back to the day when phones had, like, removable batteries, like the old Nokia.
That's
it
true.
wasn't really about batteries or anything, I don't think. It was with the signal of receiving a call or something, and, like, the really old Nokias and that. There was a chance of them producing static.
Static?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they tested it a few times, and it was very unlikely, but there was a chance of it. From memory.
Bro, there's a chance that a human can spontaneously combust.
Anyway, Luke, that leaves us with you. What would you say is your favorite game?
I don't know if I have a
Settlers
favorite.
Settlers of Catan. He's never even
Settlers of
touched it.
Catan
I
doesn't
know.
count. Like I can't even say that it's my least favorite because I never played it, so it's technically like in the just zero, has no value. I don't know. There's a few games that I really like. Like one for purposes of nostalgia is Cluedo. If someone's like, "Yo, we're gonna play Cluedo," I would be like, "Oh, yep." I'm actually keen as for some Cluedo. And now that I've thought about it, I'm actually even more keen to just play Cluedo. Oh, speaking of, I have Tabletop Simulator downloaded now. But no, another game that I really like and probably will always play if someone's like, "Hey, do you want to play this game?" is Pirates Cove. I do
haven't
really
played that in
enjoy Pirates
ages.
Cove.
Yeah.
I just really like it. It's really fun. Cool dynamics, cool mechanics in a way, how you kind of like build your own ship and you got to fight the staff. And it's turn-based in the sense too, where everyone at the start of the round does the thing. I like that kind of aspect. And there was something else I was thinking about before, but I forgot. I think... I was going to say that I think I talked about it on the podcast before, but it's the Avery one. What's it called?
Wingspan?
Wingspan.
Yeah,
I've
you
only
have
played that
mentioned it,
once, but I did really enjoy it. And I think I would happily play it. It would be kind of a mood thing because it's real like chill and just relaxed game. But if someone was like, "Yo, do you want to just sit down and play a Wingspan and just chill out?" I'd be like, "Absolutely." So I think that one just instantly went up because I never quite played a game like that before and I just really enjoyed it. At least that's more specifically board games. I'm more of a card games kind of person, but
just like playing cards. That's the thing, because
I love just me a deck of playing cards. But then like Bang the card game, love that. Or not that, just Bang in general, love that. Munchkin's great. Gets an honorary mention too. And there's something else.
I think I think what you're thinking of, Luke, is Six Takes.
Yes.
Of course, Six Takes.
That's the card game. Thank you, Ben.
I knew there was
a card
something
game
you
I
weren't
love.
mentioning.
There's a card game that's not played
Six
on
Nymphs.
like just normal playing cards because I could list so many playing card games that I love. But no, it's Six Takes. I love that game. That game's so much fun.
Now, I just want to cut in and like, I don't know whether you've changed at the moment, Ethan, but the last time you were here and we were playing games occasionally, you said to me that like what you were currently in the mindset for and enjoying the most were those kind of chill, like
Party games, yeah.
chill party games, card games like Codename, Six Takes, Llama, that sort of stuff, and that's kind of what you were
You've just
enjoying
listed
most at
three
the moment.
great games.
I enjoy things that have simple rules. Not a lot of mainly based on player interaction is where the game is, and sort of easy victory point rules. And most party games normally feel that because, like I said, for me at the moment, because of how busy I am, the most important thing for a card game is or game is to be able to play it spontaneously. And I mean, there's a time and place for saying, "Oh, we're scheduling a game for like 7 o'clock this week" or something. But it's a different type of thing.
Yeah. No, that I understand that completely. Like, coming up in a week's time, I've got a board game night, and every month I have a board game night, but 1 month will be like a themed night, and I'll choose the games and everything, and the next month is just a chill night. And those type of games, the ones you just spontaneously pull out and go, "Hey, let's play this." I guess is what you're talking about. Ones that are just simple, easy to explain.
Yeah. You can teach them to people as well quickly.
Yeah. Whereas other games, say like Raiders of the North Sea, is kind of more so it's like, "Hey, do you want to come over and play this game?"
Yeah.
But also, like a lot of big games, you're guaranteed to lose on your first time, just due to how complex, how many different ways there are to gather victory points.
Hang on, are we talking, when you say that, are you talking guaranteed to lose as in like co-op games, or just if you play a new game, you're probably going to lose?
If you play, well, it depends. If you're playing a game, if someone's teaching you a game, you're obviously not going to know it as well as them, and especially when there's complex ways to gain victory points, and some will be better than others because game designs aren't perfect. You're probably going to lose. I mean, it's not to the extent of chess, right? Where like you're going to lose a lot before you get your first win.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, like most of the time, if you want to, people enjoy. I don't know about most people, but when it comes to like learning a game, I almost have to have enough time to play it twice, because unless all of us are learning at the same time,
Yeah.
it's going to be like, well, the first time I'm learning it, and it's a very sort of like clunky experience, and then I want to have like a fun thing as well.
Mm-hmm. That's almost always what we do with our family, right? Like the first time we played Wingspan, I pulled it out. Well, sorry, first time I played it with the family, pulled it out, taught it to mum and dad. We played a game, and mum was like, "Okay, yep, that was cool. I understand it now. Let's go again." And we just instantly played a second game.
Yeah.
And
that's really cool, actually.
Mum, I don't mind that at all. I don't mind playing the same game twice in a row or whatever. Dad, not
Depends
so
on the game.
much. Like he's happy to play it once and then come back to it another time. I don't actually remember if he played with us again that second game. But multiple games like that, Mum will be like, she'll be like, okay, I understand it now. I want to play it again, like straight away, while all this is fresh in my mind, so I know what I'm doing.
Because that's how I generally play new games too. Kind of, I'll explain the game, and you're good at explaining, like, if you kind of generalize techniques or stuff, or techniques, is that the right word?
Strategies.
Strategy. So that's what I was thinking of. And then I'll kind of take what you have and then just think, okay, well, logistically speaking, I imagine this game also includes this sort of things. I'll devise a strategy in my head that, well, I'll see a thing based around a particular win condition or something, and I'll go, okay, I'm just gonna commit and just try this. I'm not sure if this is optimal or this is meta for this game, but I'll just listen. I always listen super intently when someone's explaining a game and devise a strategy as I go, and then I'll just see it through to the end, and it either works or it doesn't, and usually it does, which is kind of funny. Like, not to brag, but the amount of games I've played once and won, I have 100% win rate on like so many board games.
I had 100% win rate on Shin Phillips games.
Just talking about Wingspan.
You can clarify that too, can't you?
Yeah, just talking about Wingspan, your first game of Wingspan that we played back in July, you did win that.
Yeah, I did.
It was close. Like you, Joel, and Ben were all first-time players, and you came first, second, and third. Me and Gabby had played
third.
You did. Me and Gabby had played before, and we were also playing that game, and we came last and second to last. So you do have a good knack of. I like to think that I am pretty good at explaining a game, at teaching board games.
Would say you're good at explaining. Good enough that I can win a game on my first playthrough, because you give me enough information for me to be able to devise a strategy and go, okay, let's see if this works. That's how I like to play games. I like to listen real close and then go, okay, devise. If this seems to then work something out of my head, and then just play it through and see if it works.
Wingspan is quite a good one for new players, because it's actually like all the information is kind of open, like and not like the birds other people are holding in their hand. That's not open, but you've got certain victory point conditions that you score on at the end of each round, and that's open. That like everyone can see. Okay, in round 3, this is what's going to score us points. The amount of birds we have in the water zone, that's going to score us points. It's not like at the start of the round we flip it over and then you're like, so and so is going to win this round because I didn't put any birds in my water zone or whatever.
I do think how easy it is to win in a first game depends entirely on how clear it is to gain victory points.
Yeah.
And
I think it is very game dependent.
Yeah.
And it's just inherent to game design, is if you want a more complex game, there's got to be more complex ways to gain victory points.
Plus, Daniel's just very good
I don't know. I haven't played Wingspan,
games.
but from my understanding, it is relatively simple.
It's not hard.
It's not hard.
There's quite a lot of things that you kind of would be nice to know that you're not going to be told on your first playthrough, and it is a bit of like, oh, okay, and oh, right, okay, I see, kind of as you're going, but so there's a lot of like not hidden aspects, if you know what I mean, but there are like some complicated and convoluted ways to make victory points that you just wouldn't know of until someone at the end you get creamed on, and you're like, eh? And they're like, oh, you didn't know you could do all this other fancy stuff. And I'm like, oh.
Okay.
That would have been nice to know.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it simple, but it's easy to pick up, right?
It's
like
pretty straightforward, but it's not like oversimplified.
there's lots of different strategies and combinations you can do and stuff.
Yeah.
I've lost my train of thought now. I was going to say something.
Choo choo. All aboard the train of thought. Going to Forgottenville.
Have you guys ever seen a proper steam train?
Yes, actually, I've ridden on one.
I think I have too. I believe I have.
There was that
really
one that
cool.
used to. Ben, do you remember the name of the one that used to like travel around Auckland? Do you remember what it was called? No, they have like a big black steam engine that they'd fish out every so often and do like journeys on it. It had a name.
We should do an episode on sort of like neat engineered things.
I'd be
I
keen
thought
to
you were
do
going to just
that
say it
actually
on
sometime.
trains.
I'd be
We
keen
could
to
do
talk
something on
about
trains.
trains. too.
I can.
No, but yeah,
I don't know
I
too much
have
about
ridden on-
trains,
I
but I
have
could probably
ridden on,
talk about them for an hour and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, I've ridden on proper steam trains.
While we're talking about trains, just like something.
Oh,
like,
I know what. Flawless segue. Go on.
What?
Go on. I know we can
I
talk
was
about it.
gonna talk about like Ticket to Ride and
There it is. There it is.
And kind
I've
of,
forgotten about that.
yeah, like Ticket to Ride's kind of a classic game. You don't like Ticket
Wait.
to Ride, Ethan?
Don't like to.
Can I guess what your little talk's going to be about?
Yes, go ahead.
You're going to talk about how Ticket to Ride started as a board game, but you think it's better on the devices.
I was going to
100%
talk
agree.
about just kind of about digital board games because there are a lot of like you mentioned you've downloaded Tabletop Simulator now.
Yeah.
That's slightly different because it's simulating playing, in real life as close as it can. But digital board games, like I have heaps of, I don't know if I have heaps of like, digital board games, including Ticket to Ride. And
Among Us is a phone app?
Yeah, it's free on the
it's
phone,
phone
but
app
it's a
too.
bit
if
less
you have an
user-friendly.
iPad, it's better on the iPad, obviously, because a bigger screen.
Right.
It was quite hard for me to play it on the phone.
Yeah,
like,
it's not particularly, like Ben said, user-friendly on the phone, but it works.
yeah. And Among Us is cool. We can talk about that and kind of this as well because it's not a board game, but it's kind of board game.
It plays like a
adjacent.
board game.
You've got kind of
you couldn't play that outside of
no, not at all.
thing, but it does have like board game kind of feels.
It's
to
got the negotiation aspect of a board game, right? You have to
it's
bluff and
essentially
trick people
Mafia
into
almost.
Yeah, you have to bluff and trick people into thinking that you're not the traitor or that someone else is the traitor. You have to be able to bring up a story of what you were doing. Why you ran out of a room where there was a dead body or whatever.
If you don't know what Among Us is by now, do you even go on the internet?
Yeah, it's gotten pretty big at this point.
It's huge. I can see why though. It is very
it's
good.
good. It is a good game.
I actually can't. I mean, I think it's cute, but I think hasn't there been like 1,000 games like that that's come
Nothing
and gone?
that
and
simple though. I don't
okay.
think
It's
there's
just
been
so
anything that's simple.
simply brilliant.
I should say Trouble in Terrorist Town, which is a Gary's mod thing,
Yeah.
was massive.
That's true.
Years.
But do you
do you know what differentiates Among Us from Trouble in Terrorist Town? The fact that the civilians actually have stuff to do. You run around and do your tasks. Where in Trouble in Terrorist Town, but the primary aspect is for them to just identify and the terrorists to kill everyone. But in Among Us, you can win by actually completing the game, essentially.
Wasn't there that? What was that? There was a Unity-based one that was looked a bit nicer. I'm trying to remember. You're like stuck on a mountain, and it was a stone.
I don't know. You lost me there.
No,
Anyway,
but it was like Among Us.
going back to like digital board games, like, do you guys prefer and it is sometimes, I guess, dependent on the game, but like if there is a good digital adaptation of a game, more often than not, would you say you prefer to play the digital version than the live version, or vice versa?
It depends how much of the game is in playing the game relative to how much of the game is in the interaction with other players.
So Ticket to Ride is an example. People often call the app, like, I believe for you, Luke, it kills the board game for you. Like, as in you just don't play the board game because because the app is
It's
just
too fiddly.
the app is so
The Ticket
much
to Ride is a very
better.
fiddly game though, because like
Yeah.
you have all your trains and you've got to like manage your tickets and manage your little pile of
Everything
cars
just
and
works so much smoother.
it's just so I love Ticket to Ride, but I don't want to play it on the board.
Mhm. Yeah, see, it hasn't.
I think that's a brilliant game to have adapted
Mhm.
into mobile. But then, so I think I like that, but I don't think me personally could say that I prefer one over the other, because like I have like Love Letter and other kind of
Mhm.
games like that on the thing, but I'd just rather play it with cards in person, I think.
Mhm. Yeah.
What about
yeah.
you, Ben?
I in the nights at Ticket to Ride, I had the apps for a long time. We all did, and I'd spent quite a lot of money on the app. And that I like the digital version, but I will also play the board game version just because I like board games. Okay, like I'll play the app if more people are able to play the app. But if we're in the same room, I'll crack out the board game if we can. I'm happy to do that.
I would still rather we all just use our phones.
Well, it also depends what it is. Like I have the
That's-
digital version of Scythe on Steam.
Mhm.
And Flip, I would not like to play that as a board game.
Okay. Yeah. Have you played that yet?
I've
Me?
played
No,
some
Ben.
of it. I spent a bit of time on it the other day, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Do you have it, Luke? I don't think you have it. Do you?
The name sounds familiar.
I have
But
talked
I-
about it before, but
I think you've mentioned the game to me at like points, but I don't know if I've actually. Do you own the board game?
no, I don't have.
No.
the
No,
physical
I
copy
haven't
of the board
played
game.
it.
It's a very big game.
Yeah, it's a big game.
Wait,
I
is that the
I have
one
the
that
digital
Dad
version
has
of it.
been?
Hey?
No, that's
No,
Gloomhaven.
that doesn't have Scythe.
Oh, that's Gloomhaven. Okay, I just
Gloomhaven
remembered
is a
I saw
massive
a massive game that he had the other day, and I was like,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Puts
I
bloody
think
mechs versus minions to shame.
it's actually, for me, it's almost the opposite. The simpler a game is, the more I think I enjoy the digital version of it.
I think that's a good way to look at it.
I'm quite, and so I count Ticket to Ride as simple, right? Like there's not a lot of information
Right.
on the
It's got
board
two
other
things.
than
Pretty
really.
straightforward.
Yeah, like on the board you have the cities and the colors, right? That's all you really need to look at, right? The city names and colors, and you got all your cards and everything. Whereas something like Scythe, there's so much information, and they have to cram it into your screen and into your controls and everything.
Yeah, when you
And-
kind of have to pan around instead of just like looking.
Yeah. And I much
okay.
prefer to actually play that stuff in person. I much prefer to have it on the table in front of me, and I can look at it, and I can look at the cards in my hand. You know,
Yeah.
I can look at the board, and I can see all this different stuff. I'm very tactile in that way, and
Yeah.
so I do enjoy having like
Switch my phone
say,
off
like-
into silent mode.
I do enjoy say having the love letter cards in my hand and playing that too.
Mm.
But if I'm going to play a digital game, I'm going to
Yeah.
probably choose something simpler
Yeah.
rather than something more complicated. Unless
Well,
I just
then,
really
yeah.
want
And
to play that game.
And as Ethan mentioned, it also kind of boils down to the actual interaction side of things too.
Mhm.
Like Ticket to Ride, I'm just going to be screaming at someone that they took my train route. You know, that's not
Yeah,
that's not
yeah.
something I don't mind doing that over Discord. But then like
Mm-hmm.
Love Letter and whatnot, yeah, there's like using that as an example, there is kind of a level of like poker face you have to hold and whatnot.
Mhm.
Because if like you pick up the princess or something, and make a face, and someone what's the? I know the Munchkin version better. They do the one that
It's
guesses
the
your
guard, isn't it?
Yeah,
the guard. And
pot
they try to guess your card or something, and they just bang on because your poker face is terrible. That adds like a mechanic to the game that you just miss out on.
Yeah. I
without
guess
having that. So I think it really depends.
for me, I'd rather play like Scythe as a digital one, just because I hate setting up and packing up board games.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
It's like I'm happy to play the games with you, Dan, because they're yours and you pack them up. But I
Yeah.
hate doing it myself. I'm just that guy that doesn't want to do it. But so yeah,
Yeah,
I'd
but-
rather play a big game on digital form because of that. But there is also the whole being able to see everything. I do like that as well. So it
Yeah.
kind of depends on what mood I'm in and how lazy I'm feeling.
You always had that rule, Daniel, that was like winner packs up, and I have genuinely entered particular games because Steve's packing up.
that was our family rule, and like that lasted for a long time until kind of like in general now, unless I'm just not in the mood to pack up the game, I'll just pack it up. I'll set it up. And
I think everyone's responsible for sorting out their stuff and putting it in like the middle of the table again.
Yeah.
But then like everyone just gets up and walks away. I'm like, come on, man.
Ours was loser packed up, so you actually had an incentive to play the game if you were doing bad.
That's true. I was gonna say something about like board games when we used to play more often. I'll bring it up if I remember.
All right. I was just gonna say, I'm very, and like I've said it before on the podcast, and there was something else I said on the podcast that I was going to bring up again. But yeah, I'm very tactile. I like feeling things. I was just going to bring up the fact that I enjoy setting up and packing down board games, right? Like, I enjoy, opening up the box, getting all the stuff out, and putting it out on the table, setting that up. To me, that's part of playing the board game.
Question.
I wouldn't say that's the usual, but yeah. Yes, Luke?
I have a question. When you buy like a new book and it's got like a new book smell. When you first like rip a box when you gingerly and carefully lift a lid off a new board game you've just purchased, you just get hit with the new, is there a new board game aroma?
No.
Yeah, there is.
Is there?
Yeah,
you must be playing some old dank board games.
You know what I mean. When there really is a very prominent new book smell. When you get a new book, you just give that a whiff, and you're like,
but that's the ink, isn't it? Like,
I don't know. What do they use to print board games?
Ink, I guess.
Well, that's interesting. That's just more for my own curiosity.
With board games, yes, I do think there is, but it depends on what kind of game it is and what components it has. If it's got lots of cardboard in it, it'll smell like cardboard. If it's got lots of cards in it, it'll smell a bit like paper.
That's true.
To me,
plastic doesn't really have a smell, but neither does metal. But yeah.
But to me, it's the more feel. Like it has
taste.
A new board game feel. Like you pull out the deck of cards it might have in it, and you can feel that these are new cards, and they slide, really well together. And that sort of stuff, you pull out a miniature for the first time, and you're like, "Oh, this is a cool, clunky thing." Yeah.
Hell yeah.
What did you just grab, Ethan? Did it have anything to do with the podcast, or
it does?
What is it?
Is this like a surprise that we don't know you have yet?
Curse of Strahd, D&D stuff.
Yeah. My $500 of a book that I haven't used.
Hey, we
that's true. We did use them once.
And didn't you go through the Curse of Strahd with a random group?
I did on Discord. Although we never got past where we got past anyway. So.
Oh, okay.
Surely we. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we have, because you guys wanted to make me play. Luke plays D&D and do that as like a mini episode. Surely when we go down to Christchurch and visit, we do that. We film it.
I'm not sure about Dan, but I know I'm particularly bad about it. Is that if there is collector's editions, I will shell out cash.
Oh, you'll like that,
If there's like a nice box, nice art, I'm such a sucker for it. I love getting. I'm showing this off on camera, which is if people are just listening.
I think it really depends.
Oh, they look so good.
It does. Like something, like I quite like playmats, right? Like I have quite a few playmats for games and stuff, and they're not needed, but they're what you would call kind of a deluxe
nice
component.
To haves.
Yeah, they're
it's
nice
a
to
nice
have.
touch. It's a nice touch.
Yeah.
I think the thing with me, especially, I really like artwork books and collector's editions and all that kind of stuff that comes with physical hard paper. You know what I mean? But me personally, I've never really had a lot of storage space, and I just don't like the idea of spending copious amounts of money on a book, even though I think it's awesome. I'm always like, is this actually going to be looked after properly? Am I just buying it so I
can't afford a bookshelf?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've never had real space to put a bookshelf in and stuff.
How big do you think bookshelves are?
Bookshelves are pretty big.
Not
They're
really.
huge.
I've got one there. I've got one right there, which is like,
yeah,
I don't know.
your room is huge. My room is little.
Still, it's only
No.
no, I'm talking about something that's like maybe a meter and a half tall by half a meter.
I guess
Does the
true.
job.
I mean, it's that I've never really had the space, but then I guess it also kind of is. I like to keep my room open, if you know what I mean.
He's a
Like my
filthy
room
minimalist.
generally consists of, if I can get away, if I've got like a big closet, I'll put the bookshelf or whatever in the closet and use it for like storage space, just for other things. I like to kind of keep my room. I don't really stick stuff up on the walls, and I just like have the desk and the bed. I like to keep it simple, just so it's like an empty place where I can think.
Yeah. No, not in the way of board games, Ethan, but like if I've said this, I don't think I've said it on the podcast, but you know, my girlfriend really loves books, and I don't actually own many, if any, books.
No, because you listen.
Because I listen to them. But I've said that you know, if I were to buy books, it will be of books that I have listened to and really like, and I think these are great books. And I would buy the collector's kind of deluxe, hardcover version of a book. Like
Yeah,
that's
if I'm buying a book, I want to get like a nice copy of it.
exactly. I want, but more so, I think for me, because I probably won't even read that book. Right? For me, I'll be buying it for it's a display piece, right? It's like
Because you want to have the book.
Yeah, I love this book. It's an amazing book. I want to have it, and maybe you know other people can read it, like you know children or whatever. But I want to have it, and if I'm going to have it
With
for that
gloves on
reason,
and face
I want it to
masks,
look
yeah.
nice. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Full-on
I'm
hazmat suit.
similar in the sense too. Like if I'm buying a collector's thing, I'm probably not going to read it. I'm buying it because it's like, this wasn't something I was super interested in, but it's the first thing that comes to mind. The massive like Overwatch, they did like a huge collector's edition artwork thing. That book was sick. I personally never got super into Overwatch, so I didn't actually get it.
You
But,
used my
stuff
account
like
more
that.
than I did.
Yeah, I know. I think between me and my brother Ethan, I think we racked up like 100 hours of Overwatch on your account.
Oh,
You're
far
almost
more than that,
prestige
Ryan.
level, I think.
But
Last I checked, I'm pretty sure the count had like 500 hours of time.
It's
gameplay.
pretty. I did like Overwatch and stuff like that, so I would consider like buying the really cool artwork and stuff.
related to that, but
it'd be
in
more
the,
as a showpiece.
in the vein of board games, I think I sent it to you, Ethan, was a link to The Art of Scythe. So just talking about Scythe, the board game. It was just a book with The Art of Scythe in it. And I've never played Scythe, you know, physically, so I haven't seen that much of the art. But like, I was tempted to buy this book because I think it was on a good special at the time. And like, it just looked amazing, right? And it was amazing art.
I love concept art.
Yeah.
Halo did
that's
a book like that. There was like a big Halo universe book with like concept stuff and development and the sketches when it was all still being done and so I got that from the library. They had a copy of it for some reason, and that was sick.
Yeah.
And I've read it, so I'm not really going to read it again, but I would happily buy one just to display.
Oh, I like
you know?
the visual dictionaries for the Star Wars movies and stuff. I love those things.
Yeah, those are cool as well.
But yeah, in the
I'm
way of
not a book person.
in the way of collector's style things, like I will always buy like storage boxes, right? So as in like I have the collector's.
I think that's the most practical collector's item.
So for the Raiders of the North Sea, it is called the collector's box, and what it is it just stores everything you can get for Raiders of the North Sea except for the playmat, because that came out afterwards. But it stores, you know, all of the expansions and everything in one box. And to me, I love that sort of thing. Something I know I have a few games with it, but I can't think of them at the moment. But something where you have lots of different pieces of a game, and then it's like, boom, here, you can buy this extra thing. It doesn't add anything to the gameplay, but it lets you put everything into one box, you know, with it look being nice and easy to take out and everything. And that to me, like, I jump on those things and like. Yeah.
There's this one guy at the university who makes who I'm not sure what the tool is, but it's like a digital router. So you know, like those laser things, which like a laser etcher.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll like etch an image onto wood or something.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that, but it like does it like physically. And he also has access to, because we have access to 3D printers at the university, so he'll build a box and then print out all the inserts, so we can like make a real nice box and do foam for it for like a nice game. It's really cool.
Yeah, you can buy inserts as well. There's like the biggest company would be Broken Token, and they make like laser etched official inserts that you buy to put in the original box, to fit all the expansions and everything in. And those also tempt me, but I've never got one.
Yeah, so they rope you in with the board
Imagine-
game, and then
Yeah.
there's other little
It's got too much of a New Zealand tax on
in-game
it.
purchases.
Yes, it does. Yeah. That's one thing that I think we get more so with board games that we don't get with video games is the cost to get them into the country.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
flip, yes.
We're quite slow to get
Do
a
you wanna
lot of
talk
board
about
games
Mix
in.
versus Minions, Ben?
Oh, heck yeah. That game
Oh.
cost more in shipping than it did to buy.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well,
That's-
that's ridiculous.
Just gonna go live in Australia, to be honest.
And it's like it was kind of I mean, they have the right to do it, but it's like a douche move, really, for what Riot
Yeah.
Games did, which is they made it exclusive, and they've done that with their new board game too. It's exclusive off of the Riot Games website. Like
You can only buy it from one place.
that's not uncommon for video game, websites, like to make their merch exclusive from them or whatever. But
Yeah.
for
It does
board
mean the
games,
shipping is expensive.
for board games, that's quite rare. You'll get them selling it to other distributors, selling it to, friendly local game stores and that sort of stuff. It's very rare to have a board game only available from its publisher. And like that
Because
means
normally the publisher wouldn't actually sell it; they'd send it off to other places to
Yeah.
be sold.
Nowadays they will sell it, but like generally you would buy it from Amazon. You'd buy it from, here in New Zealand, probably Mighty Ape is the biggest one. Stuff like that. But Riot Games, no, you can't buy it on Amazon. You
Seriously,
can't
board's
buy
pretty
it, like-
big, isn't it?
Seriously,
Yeah,
board is
that's
a
where
big,
my
is
dad
a,
gets all
is
of
a
his
big
from.
one. Yeah.
I know we get a discount through the university.
Yeah, seriously,
They're-
Borg is
they're
a big
pretty cool
distributor.
guys.
Big one in New Zealand, that is. Yeah.
I think that's where I got. Who did I get Blood Rage for you? I think it
No,
was
you got that
Seriously
through.
Board.
No, you got
No,
that
but I
through
got
Mighty Ape
Mighty Ape.
because
Yeah.
it came with a
It
car.
was one of the two because there was only like there was only like one of them in the country, and they were a real pain in the ass to get.
Mm.
But I managed to get one.
Mhm.
That's what I find really frustrating about board games is just how like when you want one, how hard it can be to get it.
Yeah, but that's particularly for
In New Zealand.
Here in New
Yeah.
Zealand.
Australia is by far better, but that's just because of eBay and 30
Mhm.
million people is greater than 5 million people.
Yeah, it helps being a continent. A consonant.
You're a constant.
I've got a question about. Well, this is more like a thing. How do you feel? And this is like a general question about board game design, I suppose. Freedom of player choice and creativity expression and strategies.
Can you
Because
give me an
that's a
example?
real big.
Mm.
That's a real big critique, I think, of most games, and that's partially why I find complex games boring. Is it's just a lot of doing different things very rigidly, like running through a program, or rather than being like, oh, if I do this, then I can do this thing, and having fun, being a creative and interesting
doing what
experience.
you
Like,
want to do.
that's where I think trading card games excel in the complexity, right? Because that is you build it and then you do it that way.
Mhm.
But I think board games specifically, I think that's a real big. It's just a part of how the design is for most point. It just seems like there's not too much you can do.
I definitely like having a level of freedom because I'll never forget. I don't remember what game we were playing, but the one where I just picked up every resource and no one could do anything.
Oh no. What was that?
What was that?
Stone Age?
Age. That was Stone Age.
Yeah. That was crack up because I was like, well, I've lost. So instead of
Let's make everyone else not be able to take a turn.
let's just make everyone suffer. And I loved that I had the option to actually do that. I just picked up every single resource and I just did that for like 20 minutes straight.
yeah.
And I just, every time like they spent resources, I just picked them up. So eventually I was the economy.
Yeah.
And like a lot
Role
of
plays with
things you
Jeff
couldn't just
Bezos.
do stuff like that. But yeah, I was literally the Jeff Bezos of the Stone Age. But yeah, I thought that was hilarious, and I loved that I had that was something I could do.
I do think Luke brings up a good point there, whether he meant to or not, is that it's almost always out of necessity of game balance. That player freedom is
Yeah,
really
it's there, but if you
pigeonholed.
use it, you'll probably break the game.
Well, no,
that
it's removed because it breaks the game. Is my opinion for most games.
Luke's instance, though, is a very rare occasion.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that's my point, right? So, like, if they remove the ability to do that, and that's what I think most designers do, is they just straight up remove the ability, but thereby keeping the game more balanced, but by restricting the freedom. And that also goes back to where trading card games have been notorious for that, is they are unbalanced and broken most of the time, but because of that have created player freedom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's like Dan on meta.
Yeah. Yes.
And my point with this is, like, this is why I'm particularly drawn to tabletop role-playing games, is because they're the definition of player freedom.
Yeah, it's
much.
literally like it. This is kind
If
of
you've
the
got the
thing
right
you're
GM,
striving to do, and however you get there is fully your choice.
The goal is very much not necessarily the goal.
Yeah.
It's very much more about how you play the game. At least the tables I've played with and the way I like to run them.
Do you want to talk about role-playing games for a minute? Because that's like, we've talked a bit about cards, we've talked a bit about board games.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the more
Okay, who's played them?
side of things? Yeah, what have
I've
we all played?
Once.
What have you played?
Ben has played once.
Epilogues. The
Epilogues of the North Sea.
yeah, that
North
one.
Sea Epilogues.
And you run that for him, Dan?
I did. I ran that. That was my first time being the game master of a game. So I'll just do a quick overview for anyone
Rundown.
listening that doesn't know what a role-playing game is.
Yeah, we're getting into the real nerd stuff now.
It is.
We're going deep.
In gaming sort of stuff, like role-playing is probably considered the nerdiest thing you can do.
Yeah.
But it is good fun.
Pretty
So
up there.
in a role-playing game,
It's also
you
the
have
best bit.
a game master, or in the case of D&D, it's called a dungeon master, but it's exactly the same
Same thing.
a game master, and they don't play the game, they run the game, they control the game, they control the
They're
story.
an arbiter.
They
Yeah,
are
they-
the game.
They control the characters that come in that aren't being played, the NPCs, non-playable characters, and then you have everyone
Oh God, I
else
love
around the table.
NPCs.
Everyone else around the table controls a character that they have created. And as they go through the story, and as the GM is controlling the story, bringing people in for them to fight, bringing challenges in for them to overcome, your character will progress and level up, and you get new skills and everything. And so it's very much like, think of it as cooperative storytelling, right? You're all telling a story together, and then depending on the system you use, you have a lot of like combat and statistics and stuff and rolling dice, and they're good fun. They are really good fun. And we do hope to like play some sort of role-playing game with Luke on the podcast.
Well,
and
in a way,
record
I
it.
guess the game master is telling the story and you're listening.
No, I
No?
do think that's wrong. The game master is sort of like the logic of making sure everything stays coherent.
Oh, okay.
Well, I would say in D&D, I would definitely say the game master is telling the story and you're influencing it. It's like the game master is the choose your own adventure book, and the players are the people choosing which way to go.
Right.
Yeah.
I
But yeah,
suppose
so-
what you mean, but it depends on what you mean by telling the story. But yeah.
Well, like
'cause
controlling
a lot
where the
of-
story goes and everything.
I mean, yeah, I think that's. I think if you are doing that, you're doing it wrong, because I think the players should have full control over how the story goes, and your job is to sort of like make it make sense narratively.
All right. Yeah. That's
Okay.
fair.
Yeah, I can see that. I've
So,
not
yeah, so-
played, but, yeah.
That is it's a valid way to roll the game, play the game. It is just referred to as being on rails, though, and I don't think that's it's good for first time players, but I don't think if you're playing with people who play a lot of role playing games, it's not very interesting.
So, Ethan, I'd say you're
Again, it depends
the
entirely on
most,
your table. Different strokes for
role-playing
different folks. I was just lost down there.
I
but we'll
like the
continue going.
driver.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you want the table to be. Some people
It's just DC.
some people want to be more engaged with the story than others, and some people are very happy to have a story told to them that they partake in rather than be an active creating force. But I mean, a lot of people do it because they want to be the protagonist of their own story. Now, I've run a game for Daniel. So both me and Daniel are run games more often than not. However, I don't know if Ben, you've played with Daniel. You haven't played with me running a game.
No,
And I don't think Luke's played with it at all.
I don't. Magic isn't a role. No, that's just a card game. No, I've not played a
Tabletop
D&D
role-playing
style game. Yeah, tabletop role play game.
What is do you guys? What is your like perception of them? Like, what do you think about them?
I guess.
Memes
I mean, I
aside.
think it's one of those things that I'd point at and go cringe, but also the kind of thing that I know I would enjoy. Like I really like I've always liked playing RPGs and stuff in general, and this just adds like a new level of I guess. Well, I mean, it's how do I put it? It's like playing a RPG but in real life sort of thing, and I'd definitely get into that the same way I get into like RPGs and the computers and whatnot.
RPG.
Yeah. So I know I'd enjoy it, but I'm also it's like definitely one of those things I'd like point at and go, haha, you're so cringe. You played role play games.
Well, in saying that, I've played at like board game stores and like, you know, in the thick of it with the people who play tabletop things, and so like I understand where the negative perceptions come from.
Well, I mean, because the big perception is it's just like, I'm no offense to the people who do play D&D, I'm sure you're lovely, but the stereotype, as we all know and can agree on, is the fat bearded sweaty neck bearded
unhygienic
people, unhygienic guy who doesn't know how to say the word deodorant, and it's and they're the ones who are like not the prominent player base. I don't know the stats, but they're the ones that everyone perceives as the prominent player base for these games. Yeah, and they're nerds and they're geeks, and no one wants to be like them or hang out with them because they smell.
In my experience, it's very accurate.
Is it actually?
Yeah, okay. It's very, very.
I assumed
accurate.
It was, but yeah, I'm just not. Don't. As I say, don't take what I'm saying.
But again, that's like I've only played a few board game. I've only been to a few board game shops, but like in that case, yeah. But I'm not sure how much it is. Now Den's back, and we were just talking about people's perceptions of role playing games, because the fact is that both me and you have run them, and Ben's the only one who's played with you, but he hasn't played with me. You've played with me running the game, but. So we'll just sort of talk about thoughts on role-playing games in general, and I believe it's Ben's turn to have something to say.
I enjoyed when I played, and I would like to play more. It's got a lot of... It's very different to other types of tabletop games. It's kind of the... What do you call them? The outlier in the stats as to the
I suppose, yeah.
Similarities. It's just completely different to other tabletop games you can get. And I guess in the sense of it is completely controlled by the people doing it. There's no set... Well, I guess there's a little bit of preset stuff, but hardly any preset stuff.
Depends how you run the game. Like I've got a book here, Chris Strad, which is based. This is a story, and it's like I don't know. It's basically 100 pages of lore, settings, locations, and whatnot, and it tells me like what the consequences of the things are, where items are. However, I do a lot of. I normally, for me, because I'm not comfortable. I don't want to spend the time building my own world just yet, because it is very time consuming. I like using one of these and then adding things in. I mean, I gave you guys a talking skull back when we played, and that was entirely my.
I love that was kind
skull,
of though. I had stuff planned for that skull. Like,
they also like, especially part of my reason for that brings it in, right? As a dungeon master or a game master, you're kind of an impartial thing, and you don't get to play the game.
That can I just interject real quick? That's kind of more what I meant by the dungeon masters telling the story, when they kind of take a thing and they like create the story, quote unquote, is more what I meant.
They arbiter. They're like a judge.
If you're familiar with,
they'll like, I know some of them will like make up their own things and whatnot.
If you're familiar with Spy Kids 3, the dungeon master is the guy. Not Elijah Wood. It's this. Yeah.
But yeah, that goes back to the story we were telling, which was, it was a new table. Like, I believe Dan was your first time playing. I think it was everyone's first time playing a role.
I mean, me and Miriam had played a scenario of just fighting some wolves or whatever. But it was our first proper game. Me and Miriam, it was Ethan's first proper game. Isaac had played, I believe, a few times, so he wasn't quite new. But,
no, I think you're right, because he played a more like complex.
He played a more complex type of character because he had already done it before.
but so essentially, but part of the fun is, I mean, what I gave them this talking skull, which essentially served like Navi from Legend of Zelda, like sort of like, hey, look, listen, or like,
or the little ball thing from Halo. What's that called?
Yeah,
the Oracle.
Oracle. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Or even the little ball thing from Portal, whatever that's called too.
He was a full character, though. If we ever start playing
Wheatley,
again, he does. He's a proper character, and I get to play that, and so that's my sort of like way of engaging.
Yeah,
because I get to run there.
That's the gift that the GM gets, because they don't get to have their own character who levels up and everything. They get to create characters or control characters in the game and play those and stuff. And so like. Yeah, you did a great one with the skull. I loved that character, and like I had plans that like so we played through the story. We got out of this like haunted house.
What did I call him? I forgot it.
I don't remember, but like I had thought through what I was going to do in the next session, because we had just finished. The house had like disappeared or exploded. I don't remember.
Yeah, disappeared.
And like we're all kind of just like sitting in the gutter, slumped in the gutter, and then like I think we were all going to go to a tavern or something. And like I had this idea in my head that I was gonna like, stroll up to the bartender, like slam my fist down and be like, "I'll have an ale," and then like slam the skull on the counter and be like, "One for my friend here too," just like something like that. And like I had thought up all these like stuff, and that's the joy of role playing is like you said, Ben, it's not quite like a board game, because you're telling the story and you get to it's player freedom to the max, really.
Yeah. It just is freedom. You're role playing.
Yeah.
Some games are a little bit more linear, like, oh, you have to go here to unlock this thing, and then you can do another thing. But I mean, the particular stories I gravitate to are the ones where like I don't know what you're going to do, and I can just throw a bunch of information at you, and then you can pick a direction and go, and then the story carries on from there.
Mm-hmm. And it depends on the system too. So North Sea Epilogues, for example, which is the only one Ben has used. That one is also actually very freeing. It's very collaborative, so that one definitely is the players and the GM telling the story together. And like for instance, I'll give an example we used, right? So it's a Viking game. They're all on the ship. The ship shipwrecks, right? And then I just said, Ethan, why don't you describe what the coastline looked like? Like he kind of gets to decide where it is they
that's interesting.
Away. And that's how it works. And
see, that would be traditionally more the
GM's job,
the GM's thing, and then like the character reacts to what the GM presents. But that is interesting of like having that amount of freedom. And again, I mean, you can play D&D that way if you're comfortable with making things up on the fly. One of my favorite things about Dungeons and Dragons, which board games don't, or role playing games, is the ability for for me to adapt things, right? Like if you guys are doing something that's just ridiculously game breaking and strong and thing, well, I can just not to like cut your fun in, but then I can give you a challenge that won't work on, or that one strategy and then you have to like oh no, I need to think, or I need to do something else. Like adaptive challenge, kind of like like if you were using like a really OP gun in a video game or something, and then you run into something that just sort of is not as effective on, and so you actually have to just switch to something else and use your brain, and not just, it makes the game more interesting in my opinion.
I relate to that, like in a way. Like I do very much enjoy, like for Skyrim for example, I do like leveling up my character, so I'm just OP, and then I just steamroll through and just kill everything, and I'm having a good time. But then at the same time, I do kind of, I think to be honest, I get annoyed when like the strategy I'm using or my character doesn't do as well anymore. I'm like, oh, come on. I've spent all this, I like the whole leveling up process, and then level up doing the side stuff, and then just steamroll through the main quest.
It's not about punishing, it's not about punishing you for like speccing into something, but it is about making sure that it's not just roll your dice and see if you get a stat check type thing.
Yeah, it's not just rinse and repeat. Monster.
Because it gets very boring if you're sitting there for 4 hours going,
just get Daniel to step up and summon his level 20 lightning bolt that should one-shot it, sort of thing. And you just keep doing that, and everyone's going, oh, you're so strong. But then, and it's working, and everyone's having a good time. Like, no one's like mad that he's doing it.
There's an anime about that.
Just send in the Daniel. But
Yeah,
then
the
suddenly the guy
great-
his lightning's not effective against him, and Daniel's now useless. It's like,
Yeah. The
Yeah.
great thing with like with role playing games is there are so many systems. So like yes, D&D is the biggest one, right? And that's the one that everyone kind of knows. You know, if someone thinks role playing, they're like, oh, Dungeons and Dragons, right? But there are heaps out there. North Sea Epilogues came out, I think 2 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. That's a newer one, and that's definitely more story driven. D&D is quite a mix, but I would, from what I've experienced and watched, it's a lot more almost statistic and
the older ones used to be worse. The new one's pretty dumbed down.
Okay, but it has a lot of more statistics in it. You've got Fate, which is more based on creating your own story. It's a great, it's just a system.
Fate's just a D20 system, right?
No. It's got custom dice with pluses and negatives in it. Yeah. North Sea Epilogue is D20 only. But Fate is purely a system. You don't buy like a new campaign that builds onto it. You buy
just for the non-nerds, a D20 is a dice or 20 sides.
Yes, correct. If you ever hear D and then a number, that's just what it is. But yeah, like I was going to write a Fate campaign one time, a pirate one, and we were going to play it, but we never did. But there's like so many systems.
Pirates
Didn't you say Borderlands was releasing something? Is that built on?
Borderlands is releasing its own. No, it's a new. It will probably be based on an older system.
Potatoes, yeah.
But yeah.
I was gonna say that's the only.
The one thing
I've played the role play, like it's not Dungeons and Dragons. It's like Vaults and something.
Isn't it Bunkers and Badasses or something?
Something like that. There's a DLC for Borderlands 2 you can get, which is it's the main characters. Well, the main NPC characters play the Borderlands equivalent of Dungeons and Dragons, and it's cool because you essentially play as like some of their characters. So like whack stuff happens. It was a really, really good DLC actually. And that made me kind of want to. That was like the thing I was like, oh, this is actually like kind of sick. Like listening to it. I've never really watched like people play Dungeons and Dragons and all that kind of stuff. But then kind of listening to the in-game people doing the thing, I was like, this is hilarious. Actually, I wouldn't mind doing this.
I think one of the things. Well, the thing with role-playing games is they're also incredibly dependent on who's running the game, because you can adapt the system as much as you want. I mean, there are some DMs who are notorious for like checking that your character is strong enough to carry the weight, and they have like a weight list of every item so that you can't carry too much and stuff like that.
So that's just
I fall on something. I fall down on the sort of like the rule of cool type side, which is like, yeah, it's cool, just do it. And it depends on your table entirely, because that's why personally I don't enjoy finding a table with players I don't know.
An example of that, Ethan, right? Can I just cut in with a story from what we did do with North Sea Epilogues? So it's based in the real world, back in the Viking era, whenever that is. And so it's meant to be, realistic. But what happened was we've got a sort of fat character in the game. Who was the fat character, Ben? Was it?
It was Dylan. I think.
Dylan's character. That's right. Dylan's character was kind of fat, and like his action, he just like kind of belly flopped in the sky to knock him out. Right, this other Viking.
Yeah,
and that's what he did. And then someone else, they rolled and they got a natural 20, which in any role-playing system, like that means you do an epic action. So like I was like, yep, you succeed in what you're trying to do. Do you want to explain like what it is and make it epic, And so what we decided upon was him like running, jumping, and bouncing off of Dylan's character's belly and like getting flung into the air, like, and then like slicing this guy with his axe or whatever. And
it's the whole thing. It's having a bit of fun with it.
It's like realistically, if I was trying to be proper, I would be like, no, you can't do that. That's ridiculous, right? But I was like, that's funny, that's hilarious, that's cool. We're doing it,
And it, like the most important thing is that everyone on the table has the same desires and wants, because you sometimes do get people who want to play like a comic and sort of silly and unrealistic campaign, and other people who want like a nitty gritty dark story. And they often don't mesh well together. The one thing I do like about is, unlike board games, which is a lot more taboo to just change rules. and it does depend on who you're playing. But the D&D system, if you don't like a rule, you can just ignore it or change it, because that's and it actually, the part of the rule book says to do that, which is funny. But like one of the and I'm not sure if you remember, but like there's this one thing in what I really dislike about the Dungeons and Dragons system particularly is there's a very distinction between we're talking to characters, we're exploring, and now we're fighting. Like it's like two different things almost. It's very like it puts a pen in things. And that's because when you run into a set of monsters, you would normally have to roll your dice to figure out the orders of turns, right? Who responds to things first. And that gets very tedious if you've got a lot of encounters. And so instead, one of the rules I changed was just, you just do that when you rest, and that decides your order until you rest. Yeah. Again, and that just and so you can change if that works for your party, it does, and you can change whatever you like for it to be smooth. And it's about I like games offering freedom.
Yeah. And cutting back to board games, you get some board games which are in that in between slot. They're in between role playing and board games. We've got one called Candemere, and it's sort of like a role playing game, but as a board game. I haven't had too much experience. 2 games, the one I ran and the one you ran. And
I'm really looking forward to running one through Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah, that would be a great system to run something, and hopefully we can get it recorded, and hopefully it'll be a lot of fun for everyone to listen to.
I think we'll.
Yeah, but just jumping back to board games, do you guys think you have a favorite board game mechanic, like as in
I see what you mean.
The way a game runs? So, an example, six takes would be like kind of simultaneous selection. You're all simultaneously flipping over a card, and then you have to react to that and be like, oh no, I got it's almost a guessing what the other players are going to do and that sort of thing.
I've got one.
Yeah?
Yep, and that is Explorers of the North Sea, revealing the world as you're playing the game.
Oh, so like building the world.
Like randomly generated tiles type thing? Or like tile system games?
Yeah, no, it's just like building...
No, you play the world, like you play the tiles of the next piece of sea and land and everything. So you're kind of building it up.
Yeah, so the world is built throughout the rounds. Everyone's first action on their turn is they place a tile that fits somewhere on the world to build more of the map. And just that whole idea of as you're playing, your playing board is getting bigger and there's more stuff being added to it and stuff like that is really cool, in my opinion. I really enjoyed the time that I played Explorers of the North Sea for that reason.
Yes. I'm not sure if it's a particular mechanic in itself, but I really like games that rely a lot on player interaction.
Social deduction in particular?
Social deduction's fun. I do like those sort of like Secret Hitler, code names,
Mafia, Resistance.
Yeah, I like games where a lot of the game is in the other players. I think that's fun.
Well, you should get it out because it'll probably get messed up.
Get what? Huh?
Yeah, I'm hilarious, guys.
Yeah, so funny. I like co-op games.
Oh yeah,
you have said that before, and yeah,
I like the likes of Flashpoint and kind of that kind of thing where we're all kind of working towards a common goal together. I do like playing games where there is like a someone's going to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd say prefer, but I think
you just very enjoy.
I very much enjoy co-op games. I think I was going to mention it before because I thought of it. Remember that Lord of the Rings game we used to have where it was the Fellowship versus Sauron, but it would be like 6 people playing the Fellowship and 1 person plays Sauron.
Yeah.
I like that kind of thing too. I like being the one person that everyone's working against. mechanic games that have like that kind of mechanic. So it's co-op, but then it's also, they can be like, rather than you playing against the game, you're playing against one decided person.
Yeah.
Who's just a lot more OP sort of thing. I like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I like. I get. It kind of feels video gamey in a way.
I guess kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it does, which I mean is what I do most of. And then if you, it's kind of like a middle ground where you've incorporated like a board game with like more co-op video game style mechanics, things like you've made, like, I love jumping on Borderlands with like 4 people or something and just doing stuff. It's like that sort of thing, doing quests and what have you, but you're working together as a team. I really like Flashpoint though, because it's like emergency services and that's my thing, you know. I think it's just a great game all around.
Yeah. My favorite, I think, is specifically deck building, but more narrowed it back is any sort of game, and like Wingspan counts as this. It's kind of engine building, like where you start with very little and you build it up as the game goes on, and so that you've got more near the end of the game. You've got more, and so when you do stuff, your turns are better each turn, like because you've built it up. And I really
you have
like
some form of progression.
Yeah, I love that. I love that progression. Dice Forge is technically a deck building game, but with the dice, you know, you upgrade your dice so that, you know, when you're on turn 5, you roll your dice and you're getting really good stuff instead of just getting 2 gold or whatever.
Yeah, and I like the customer
customization.
Yeah, that's the one of like Dice Forge too, because it's not like take Pirates Cove for example, where everyone's ship is like, someone may have better cannons than you at the moment, but at the end of the game, we're all probably just going to be as strong as each other with exactly the same stuff. Whereas Dice Forge, everyone's dice are going to be different.
Yeah,
you're not going to have everyone just upgrading the stuff that's on there. They're going to be doing that as well as buying the exclusive tiles or that sort of thing. So it's not just we all kind of get stronger together. We all get stronger in our own, like our own different play style sort of thing. It's about, there's much more freedom in that aspect than Dice Forge, which I think is also a really cool mechanic. I do like progression and getting more strong as you go.
I just quick one I've really started liking too is actually drafting, and even when it's just used in a game, not the main mechanic, but that's when you've got like say a hand of cards, 7 cards, you choose one and then pass the rest on. I don't know why, but as of lately, I've just really enjoyed that sort of gameplay, because you're controlling what the player next to you gets to choose from. Yeah, you know, and
you can sabotage and stuff.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to make a difficult choice. You're looking in your hand and you go, "Ooh, I really want this, but I really don't want my neighbor to get this."
Yeah,
you know, and you've got to make that really difficult decision. And
general store cards and
Daniel.
I love difficult decisions in games. Like it just makes the game feel good to me. Yes.
Are you familiar with Ecosystem?
I'm familiar with it, but I haven't played it.
Yeah, so that's a drafting game that Dad recently picked up, and that one is actually a lot of fun. Can recommend.
Cool. Anyway, so I think that's good from us.
However, we have an announcement.
We do have an announcement, and well, not an announcement, kind of like a celebration. Way.
Yeah. At some point during this episode.
Can I say it?
Okay, yeah, sure, you can say it, Ben.
So, yeah, as the special guest in this special occasion, somewhere during the time frame of this episode, these 3 gentlemen that you all listen to all the time hit their 24 hours of recording.
Whoa! Yeah. A whole day of
audio. Give ourselves a little pat on the back, shall we?
Yeah. Congratulations to you, Joe.
Congratulations. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so which is quite amazing to think about that we've talked for 24 hours.
But I couldn't bear the thought of sitting down and talking with you two for 24 hours straight.
I can't think of like talking for 24 hours straight. That's exhausting.
Here.
What do you guys think the longest you could talk for straight was? I reckon I could go for about 4 hours.
Like, am I
5,
pausing to let people in, or
around 4 or 5?
It depends on if we've got stuff to talk about.
I mean, goodness, we probably did about, when we did the episode of Jonathan, we did about 3 hours.
I could easily sit down and have a yarn for a long time, as long as there's stuff to talk about.
That's true. Our drinking sessions are pretty good.
Yeah, mate. that is exclusively drinking up and go and having a
Yeah,
yarn.
of course.
Yeah, that's what I mean by drunken session. Like,
Yeah.
And we've decided to celebrate by saying goodbye to Luke. This will be his last time as a guest
Yeah, I'm real sad, but I guess
Get rid.
because he's
We
staying
gotta-
on as a host.
Oh, that's right. We're doing that. I forgot.
level up.
I mean,
Poggers.
to those who've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that he's pretty much a third host anyway.
Basically, I guess. It was just a funny meme.
It was a joke that
It's a
we
meme we
probably
ran into
found
the
more
ground.
hilarious than
Anyone else?
We got a kick out of it, and that's what matters. This is our show.
yeah.
So now when you're introing Daniel, you have to say, and my co-hosts.
Yeah, I
with a
could say my
plural.
co-hosts Shaggy and Scooby Doo.
If you stuff it up there
Yeah.
the first time, we're leaving it in. That'd be funny.
So
Yeah, thanks everyone who's been listening. I know
Yeah,
there
so
are some
big thank
people out
you.
there who have listened to every episode and love you
Yeah,
much.
you're welcome.
Big love to you guys.
no, not you.
I made
Ben.
a heart with my hands for the audio listeners.
So jump to YouTube just to catch that.
I think
you know?
I'm one
Yeah.
of those people. Besides, like,
Yeah,
Up and Go
Ben,
with
you've actually listened to all of
Cupcakes
them.
episode that had me in it, I struggled to listen to myself, so I kind of started it and then stopped.
Yeah,
Cracker.
yeah.
There's been multiple occasions where Ben's like walked in the kitchen when I was cooking something,
And he's just
and he'd
listening
be
to
like,
it.
"You said this on the podcast," and I'm like, "And I don't like, and I disagree with you or something." And I'm just like,
What did
"Huh?
I say that one time? I came in and
I don't
said,
remember.
how
You
dare
waltzed
you
in and you
compare
said,
a car
"How
to a
dare
bowl
you?"
of pasta?
Oh yeah, I said I
Something
made
like
some
that.
kind of analogy that he wasn't happy with. and he
Anyway,
comes
we
in-
could argue off air.
Yeah, all right. Sorry.
You're right.
Thank
Sorry,
you everyone
guys.
for listening. Thank you,
Yeah, thank you so much.
Ethan, Luke, for always joining me, and thank you, Ben, for joining me this
Hey.
time. It was a
Welcome.
great chat, and until next time, goodbye.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Keep listening.